Hold up.
Well, going back to our preliminary task, one of our main problems, I think, was just plain organisation. We did not plan any shooting schedules or try and organise to meet up together. We kind of had to rush and do it all the night before, and that's just not effective at all of using your time, and it just puts so much more stress on you trying to cram it all in before your deadline is due. Also, if we were to redo it, we would come up with timetables and plans of when we would shoot, like the date and what time when we were going to do it, and coincide our timetables with each other so we'd know that who would be there and what we would be expecting and things like that. Also, another big problem was just the quality of our computers. For rendering reasons and just working on a general editing software with only 4 gigs of RAM, this is not enough to process it quickly and efficiently, so we're constantly having to wait on our computers to load, and they would constantly freeze, and this was just so inefficient. Also, it took so long to even add a slight filter on CGI. We tried to put our film in black and white and we just saw the classic Mac blue, the multicoloured wheel spin for at least half an hour in our class, and it's not the best of use of your time, so that's really bad as well. We also learnt how important sound is, because it is a key turning point in how good your video will be. If you have good sound, then it will keep the quality of your video up, but obviously if you have bad sound like our preliminary task was, then it just turns it into a rubbish film, because it's one of the main concepts of a film, sound. You need it, otherwise you're screwed. So what we found was that by just using an iPhone, it picked up every little scuff, movement, even breathing behind the camera. You heard that, and that sometimes you heard that more than the actual people speaking. So this was a big turning point for us, because it just showed that we needed to up our audio quality if we wanted to become better, especially for our final project. Another thing to make sure you remember is just see how much free space you have on your phone or whatever camera you're using, or on your SD card, because I recorded on my iPhone 5S, which is 16 gigabytes, and most of it is taken up by games, music and photos, and I didn't realise by adding a few videos that it was almost full, so I had to waste time deleting all of it, and that was just a real pain. Luckily I could delete stuff, otherwise I would have been screwed for our final thing, and we'd have to do a lot more reshooting than we actually had to. In addition to that point, one thing I would have to say is make sure you have plenty of battery on your phone, or even another rechargeable battery or another phone to record with, because just filming wastes so much battery on an iPhone, especially the 5S with its 1080p recording features. That drains battery so quickly that you don't even notice it. Also, for the storage, just make sure you have enough, because it wastes the actor's time, and especially if we couldn't delete it, or say we were using a camera on an SD card, if we only had one and we had used up all the footage on an 8 gigabyte SD card, then we would be screwed. We would have to reshoot and reorganize getting all our actors together and getting the location booked again if necessary, and it's just a key feature of trying to work. And this also emphasizes your leadership skills, because if you're the guy with the camera trying to film and tell people where to go and what to do, and you muck up, then you just seem stupid in front of your actors, your other media partners as well, and they just won't respect you in the future. And trying to reorganize something, then that'll be just even harder, because they just automatically assume, oh, he's going to run out of battery, there's no point trying to do it again. Just negative connotations from one bad experience. So, going on about leadership also, whoever the director is or in your group, just make sure you know you have an exact shooting schedule, time frame of it all, and otherwise if you try and make it up on the spot like we did on our preliminary task, we just end up wasting time discussing what shots we should include if you think it looks good, and it's just a waste of time for the actors who have given up their time to come and film. And it's just, especially if they're looking up to you for you to make the decisions, they'll just question how good the decision is, and they'll go, well, it's maybe not the best decision for us, so why should I do it? And they'll question your authority on what it is. And finally, just make sure you have key roles set out from the start, otherwise it could all fall apart and your plan just goes to shambles. Because in our prelim task, we didn't know what was going on, waste of time, and people just started making their own decisions on what they should do, when you were really like, well, I told you to do this, but you're not doing it this way. It just causes argument and stress, and trying to work with that in addition of trying to film to a deadline is very, very stressful. So one thing for sure for our next project is make sure we definitely are more organised, record better audio first of all, maybe try and upgrade our laptops more so we don't encounter as much problems with editing software and rendering issues, and just make sure you have a good plan of action, because if not, then it all just goes to shambles.